Welcome to our comprehensive guide to understanding the female menstrual cycle and its intricate hormonal dance. Today, we'll journey through this fascinating monthly process that's essential for human reproduction. The menstrual cycle typically spans 28 days, though this can vary from person to person. Let's break it down into its four main phases and explore the hormones that orchestrate this remarkable process. Let's break it down into its four main phases and explore the hormones that orchestrate this remarkable process. Phase 1, menstrual phase, days 1 through 5. The cycle begins with menstruation. During this time, the uterine lining, which was built up during the previous cycle, sheds. This appears as menstrual flow. But what triggers this? It all starts with a drop in two key hormones, progesterone and estrogen. When pregnancy doesn't occur, these hormone levels fall, signaling the uterine lining to break down and shed. Phase 2, follicular phase, days 6 to 14. Now things get interesting. The pituitary gland in your brain releases follicle-stimulating hormone, or FSH. Think of FSH as a messenger that travels to the ovaries. FSH stimulates the development of several follicles in your ovaries, each containing an egg. Usually, one follicle becomes dominant while the others die off. As these follicles develop, they produce increasing amounts of estrogen. Estrogen has multiple roles during this phase. It helps rebuild the uterine lining. It increases cervical mucus production. It triggers the release of luteinizing hormone, LH. Phase 3, ovulation, day 14. This is the main event of the cycle. When estrogen levels reach their peak, they trigger a surge in luteinizing hormone, or LH, from the pituitary gland. The LH surge causes the dominant follicle to rupture and release its egg. This is ovulation. The egg begins its journey through the fallopian tube, where it can potentially be fertilized. During this time, estrogen levels peak. LH surge occurs. Body temperature slightly rises. Cervical mucus becomes more abundant and elastic. Phase 4, luteal phase, days 15 to 28. After ovulation, the ruptured follicle transforms into something called the corpus luteum. Phase 4, luteal phase, days 15 to 28. After ovulation, the ruptured follicle transforms into something called the corpus luteum. This temporary gland is crucial for the next phase of the cycle. The corpus luteum produces progesterone and some estrogen. Progesterone is the star hormone of this phase, and it maintains the thickened uterine lining, raises body temperature slightly, and prepares the body for possible pregnancy. If pregnancy occurs, the fertilized egg implants in the uterine lining. The corpus luteum continues producing hormones. Human chorionic gonadotropin HCG is produced, and the cycle pauses for pregnancy. If pregnancy doesn't occur, the corpus luteum degenerates, progesterone and estrogen levels drop, the uterine lining begins to break down, the cycle begins again with menstruation. Let's look at how these hormones work together. If pregnancy occurs, the fertilized egg implants in the uterine lining, the corpus luteum continues producing hormones, human chorionic gonadotropin HCG is produced, and the cycle pauses for pregnancy. If pregnancy doesn't occur, the corpus luteum degenerates, progesterone and estrogen levels drop, the uterine lining begins to break down, the cycle begins again with menstruation. Let's look at how these hormones work together. Hypothalamus releases GnRH, gonadotropin-releasing hormone. GnRH stimulates the pituitary to release FSH and LH. FSH and LH act on the ovaries. Ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone. These hormones feed back to the hypothalamus and pituitary. Throughout the cycle, these hormone levels fluctuate in a predictable pattern. FSH peaks early in the follicular phase. Estrogen gradually rises, peaks before ovulation. LH surges just before ovulation. Progesterone is highest during the luteal phase. These hormonal changes can cause various physical and emotional symptoms: menstrual cramps, breast tenderness, mood changes, energy level fluctuations, and changes in appetite. Understanding this complex hormonal interplay helps us appreciate the incredible precision of the female reproductive system. Each hormone plays its unique role in this monthly cycle. FSH follicles ovulation. Estrogen builds uterine lining and triggers LH surge. Progesterone maintains uterine lining and prepares for pregnancy. Remember, while we've described a 28-day cycle, variations are completely normal. Every person's cycle is unique, but the hormonal pattern remains similar. The female menstrual cycle is truly a remarkable example of biological coordination, with each hormone playing its part in perfect synchronization to create the possibility of new life. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the female menstrual cycle. Understanding these processes helps us better appreciate the complexity and wonder of human reproduction.